Good morning, students. I am CH Rohini, Social CRT in Ranasthalam, Srikakulam district. Today, we are going to discuss about the lesson Production and Employment. Production and Employment. So, what is the meaning of production? Production means goods and services. Production means goods and services. Employment, those were produced the goods, obviously they are the employees. Employees means they produced goods and services. The topic is related to production and employment. Based on Indian economy, there are three important sectors. There are three important sectors. The first one is primary sector, second one secondary sector, third one tertiary sector. What are the sectors? Primary sector also produces goods and services. Secondary sector also produces goods and services. Tertiary sector also produce goods and services. So, primary sector. What is primary sector? Primary sector is depends upon nature. Depend upon nature. So, classify the following list of the occupations under agriculture, industry and service sectors regions for your classification. Occupation. The first one, tailor. This is a personal and domestic service. So, it comes under service sector. Tailor comes under service sector. Okay. The next one, basket weaver. He comes under cottage industry. His activities are household activities. Comes under the secondary sector. Comes under the secondary sector. Secondary sector means industrial sector. Okay. Okay. The third one, flower cultivator. Flower cultivator. Flower cultivation come under agriculture sector. Flower cultivator comes under agriculture sector. It is going to be called as a primary sector. Okay. The next one, milk vendor. Milk vendor comes under the service sector. He is not directly producing the milk but supplying milk to people with small benefits. Okay. The next one, fisherman. Fishing comes under primary occupation. This activity directly related to nature which comes under the primary sector means agriculture sector. Okay. The next one, priest. The priest comes under service sector. He is the person who performs religious duties and ceremonies in some religions. It is also a type of service sector. Okay. The next one, courier. Courier is a service sector. It provides the people easy delivery of important documents in less time. Nobody courier service are very important. Okay. The next one, workers in match factory. Workers in match factory. Small scale industries comes under industry. So, the workers in match factory comes under the second sector. So, called is industrial sector. The next one, money lender. Money lenders through comes under service sector. These are informal lenders change a much higher interest. So it is better to depend on formal lenders, banks. The next one, gardener. The next one, gardener. Gardener is the person who will look after garden comes under the agriculture activity. So gardener comes under the primary occupation. Okay. The next one, potter. The person who made pots and the dishes with clay made by hand. Pottery comes under the primary occupation. This is directly related to nature. Okay. The next one, beekeeper. Beekeeper. Beekeeper comes under primary occupation. This activity directly related to nature. So, this activity comes under the primary occupation. The next one, astronaut. The person whose job is traveling and working in spacecraft for inventing new things to the society. His services to the society are valuable. Okay. The next one, call center employee. A call center employee may give the information about bank deposits, hospital records, etc., which may be in far off. So it comes under the service sector. Okay. The next. The following table shows the percentage of workers employed in different sectors in India in 1970 to 73 and in 2009 to 2010 after 37 years. Okay. Look here. What are the major changes that you observe from the above table? Observe from the above table. The percentage of workers employed in agriculture sector was decreased. Agriculture sector was decreased. So 74 minus the 53 equal to decreased by 21% decreased. The percent of workers employed in industrial sector was increased by 11%. Okay. Next, the percentage of workers employed in service sector was increased by 10%. Okay, 10%. These changes suggest that India is a developing country in its economy. Okay. From what you have read before, discuss what could be some of the reasons for these changes. Okay. After the planning was started in India, factories came up and started expanding. People began to use many more goods and industrial sector became the dominant sector and the importance of agriculture declined. In the past 50 years, there has been a further shift from industry to service sector. The service sector has become the most important in terms of total production. Okay? Okay. Observe the pictures and mention the sector which they belongs to. The first picture is agriculture. The second picture is agriculture sector is called primary sector is called agriculture sector. Okay. The third one is service sector. The call center is service sector. So the fourth picture is the fourth picture is repairing. The repairing is service sector. Okay, let us see the statement here. India is our country. What is the meaning of the word GDP here? If you know the meaning of GDP, something has fallen down. What is the meaning of the word GDP? GDP is how do we assess a person whether he is a rich or a poor person. Rich or a poor person. A person is going on the road. A person is going on the road whose justice is not dressed properly, and all do we call that person as a rich person. Okay, rich person. Or a person who is going on the road with is a brand new vehicle, and who is a well dressed, who is all the latest equipments. Latest equipments are accessories, and like in a 1 section 1, he is walking on the road which is not properly dressed. The third one, he is a poor person, is moving on a vehicle like a car or something, and using all the latest Raven glasses and all these things. How do we compare this one who is the rich and one who is the poor? Okay, the second category is obviously rich, the first one, maybe poor or a middle one. So we can come to the clarity like the income accessories are, we can guesses them whether he is a rich or poor person. In the same way, the country's production can be guessed by the word called GDP. GDP is indicator or the entire income what is a country gets through various sources or various individuals or product. We shall deal with the GDP in details now. So we have seen the three sectors now. What is the development? What is the production? And what is the statement of financial minister? We have discussed now. Let us see. Observe the following graph and answer the given questions. Agriculture industry services. Which was the largest producing sector in 1972 and 73? Agriculture was the largest producing sector in 1972 and 73. Out of the aggregate GDP of 5,86,346, the contribution of agriculture was 2,43,082, industrial sector was 1,33,912, and service sector was 2,09,352. Which was the largest producing sector in 2009 to 2010? Service sector was the largest producing sector in 2009 to 2010. Out of the aggregate GDP of 45 lakhs 16,071, the contribution of service sector 25 lakhs 78,165, and industrial sector 11 lakhs 73,089, and agriculture sector 7 lakhs 64,817. The total value of production of goods and services in India increased approximately 8 times between 1972 and 73 and 2009 to 2010. How do we estimate GDP. People engaged in various economic activities in the above sectors produced a very large number of goods and services. What we desire to find out is how much goods and services are produced. With so many thousands of goods and services produced, you might think this is an impossible task. Not only would the task be enormous, you might also wonder how we can add up cars, computers, mobile phone service, baskets, and parts. It won't make sense. Take for instance a farmer. Take for instance a farmer who sells paddy to a rice mill for 25 rupees per kg. She sells 100 kilograms of paddy. Let us assume that she did not have to buy any seeds. The total value of paddy produced by her 2500 rupees. The rice mill takes out rice and sells 80 kilograms for rice to the hotelier for 40 rupees per kg and 20 rupees rice and sells 80 kilograms of husk 20 per kg. The total value of goods produced by the rice miller 3600 rupees. This is what the hotelier pays the rice miller. The hotelier makes idli and dosa and husk is used the fuel by him. The hotel owner by using rice and husk makes out 5000 rupees from the sale of idli dosa. From the sale of idli dosa. Okay. The good became final if it is not used further in producing goods to be sold. In the above example, if the rice had been brought by a family for their consumption, this would be the final point. Idli and dosa would be made by the family for themselves and not as goods to be sold. In the above example, paddy or rice is the intermediate goods and idli is the final good. It is following are a few goods we consume in our daily lives. List some of the intermediate against each one. So, for example, final goods and intermediate goods. Notebook is final good. Intermediate goods are pulp, paper, cardboard. Car is the final good. Intermediate goods are metal, upholstery, tires, lights, rubber, mats, etc. Computer is final good. The intermediate goods are screen, wires, codes, boards, software, mouse, etc. Why do both methods give the some result? Stage 1, sale of paddy by farmer to rice mill owner 2500. Stage 2, sale of the rice and husk by rice mill owner to hotelier 3600. Stage 3, sale of idli dosa 5000 rupees. Okay. Less input purchases 3600. Value added is at all stages for 2500 and plus 1100 plus 1400. Total 5000. Both the methods give the small result because there is difference only in the method of counting in the idea. Another way of looking at these stages is to focus only on value added at every step by the producer of the good. To find out the value added by the producer to the physical inputs purchased by him, we relook at the above example. It makes sense only to include the value added at each stage or to take the value of final goods and services. The value of final goods and service produced in each sector during a particular year provide the total production of the sector for that year, and the sum of the production in the three sectors gives what is called the gross domestic product of a country. It is the gross domestic product of a country. It is the value of all final goods or services produced within the country during a particular year. You might have noticed that the GDP figures are given for the year 2009 to 10. This means the figure are pertaining to April 2009 to March 2010. This period is also called a financial year. GDP records the market value of all final goods and the service produced, but there are many items that are not sold purchased in the market. One important example is the work that is done at home, like cooking, cleaning, organizing, bringing up children, tending to plants and cattle, etc. In most instances, these do not involve any monetary transaction and therefore remain outside the GDP measure, though they are extremely important for the economy. Also, the unpaid work is done mostly by women even today in India and across the globe. The value of GDP is given in the following table. Computer compute the growth rate of GDP shown for 2010 to 2009. Two 2009 to 2010 GDP in rupees of crores 40 growth rate of GDP 9.32%. Okay, 2000 2010 to 11 9.32%. Okay, 2011 to 12 GDP growth rate of GDP 6.22%. So 2012 and 13 percentage change in the GDP over the year previous year 4.98%. Okay. The next one, change in the importance of sectors, value of goods and services produced and employment of people. How the importance of sectors have changed, we have seen the three sectors of important like primary, secondary and the tertiary sectors. Now coming to the primary sectors, earlier the farming was a major activity. It was done and most of the employees, like up to 80 to 90% of the immense depend on the farming. In the late 50 years, like 1950 and 60 years, we got the industrial revolutions and you get impacted into India. We got recently independence in 1950s. Then we got the industrial revolution. The first 5 years plan was the stressed for the implementation of industrial development, which stressed the industries to develop, which thought a certain changes from the shifting of the people of employment from the primary sector to the industrial sector, which led to transformation of the employment opportunities, at the same time increased GDP income also. Because we have the shift of the people in a family, we have some people working in their fields, and the sometime working in industry, and added advantages for the families incomes of have increased. But in the last 30 years, the trend has completely changed the production. The farming has increased to a little bit. Industries have contributed to 20%, but coming to the service sector, the service sector has contributed to a very large extent, and the it has transformed it the highest transfer of farming of sharing of the GDP in most of the communities, most of the countries, and that we in the developing countries, it has become very large proportion of the share towards it. Now we determine a country whether it is a developed or a non-developed, like majority of the people should be in the third sector, not in the first sector. That is not in the primary one, they should be either in the secondary and their tertiary sector. That has been the criteria is developed or a non-development. If you see an America or in Australia, then we have the number of people depending on agriculture is just less than 5, the numbers literally then less than 5. We know country, if you see in every 100 people, you will find 60 people at least depending on the agriculture sector. So now again the service sector is again divided into three categories, divided into three categories. What do service comprise of? Community, social and personal service, public administration, defense, education, health, veterinary activities, media, library, archives, and museums and the museums and other cultural activities, etc. The second one, finance, insurance and real estate. Services of banks, post office, savings accounts, non-bank financial companies, life insurance and general insurance corporation, service of brokers and real estate companies, etc. The third one, trade, hotels, transport and the communication. Can you find out some examples of trade, hotels, transport and communication? Wholesale trade, retail trade, family hotels, luxury hotels, full services hotels, road transport corporation, RTC, railways and airways, TV channels, email, fax, internet, media, newspapers, radio, broadcasting, etc. These are the some example of trade, hotel, transport and communication. Okay. Okay. Observe the pie chart, share of different sectors in gross domestic product. Okay. During the 37 years period, the output share of agriculture sector has fallen. Agriculture sector has fallen drastically. There was a small increase in the share of industrial output in GDP. Industrial output in GDP. In contrast to this, there is a tremendous increase in the share of service activities. 2 out of 3 subsectors of service activities have expanded. Service sectors have expanded. Okay. The next one is employment, the working life in India. The gross domestic product of a country has close relation with the total number of working people in that country. In every country, as population increases, it is essential that the country provides opportunities for those who are looking for work. Unless people get jobs to earn, how do they get food and other requirements? According to the Census of India 2011, out of 1.2 billion persons in India, 460 million people are workers, people engaged in some productive activities. The following table shows some basic fact about workers in India. Okay, following table distribution of workers in India 2009 to 2010. Okay, agriculture sector, rural 68%, 68%, urban 8%, male agriculture sector 47, female 69%, all workers 53. Industry sector, rural areas 17, urban areas 34, male 34, female 16, total 22. Service sector, rural area 15% and urban area 58, male 19%, female 15%, total 25. Okay, read the look at the uh, textbook. All of you open your textbook, page number 35. Okay, observe the table and read the above table and fill in the blanks. Majority of workers in agriculture are living in rural area. Agricultural living in rural area. Most female workers are employed in agriculture sector. Agriculture sector. Only in a small section female is industrial sector. Industrial sector. Okay. More than 90% of urban workers are getting employment in urban workers. Urban workers are employment in agriculture and industrial sector only to a small extent of service sector. Okay. Next. Compared to males and females, workers are getting employment in agriculture sector and industrial sector only to a small extent of service. It means that there are more people in agriculture, but everyone may not be fully occupied. So, even if few people move out, production will not be affected. In other words, workers in agriculture sector are underemployed. Take the case of a small farmer, Gayatri, owning about 2 hectares of the unirrigated land, dependent only on rain and growing crops like jowar and red gram. All 5 members of her family work in the plot throughout the year. Why? They have no here else to go for work. You will see that everyone is working. None remains idle. But in actual fact, their labor effort gets divided. Each one is doing some work, but no one is fully employed. This is the situation of underemployment, where people are apparently working, but all of them are made to work less than their potential. This kinds of underemployment is hidden in contrast to someone who does not have a job and is clearly visible as unemployed. Hence, it is also called disguised unemployment. Supposing a landlord hires 1 or 2 members of the family to work on his land. Gayatri's family is now able to get some extra income through wages. Since you do not need 5 people to look after that small plot, 2 people moving out does not affect it. productions on their farm. In the above example, two people may move to work in a factory or trade. Once again, the earning of the family would increase. They would also continue to produce as much from their land. There are farmers, lakhs of farmers like Gayatri in India. This means that even if several people from agriculture sector are provided with the proper work elsewhere, agricultural production will not suffer. The income of the people who take up other work would increase the total family income. This underemployment can also happen in other sectors. For example, there are thousands of casual workers in the service sector in urban areas who search for the daily employment. They are employed as painters, plumbers, repair persons, and other doing odd jobs. Many of them don't find work every day. Similarly, we see other people of the service sector on the street uh, pushing a cart of selling something where they may spend the whole day but earn very little. They are doing this work because they do not have better opportunities. Observe the pie chart. Observe the following pie charts and fill the table. Okay, agriculture sector 1972-73 year, agriculture sector 74%, industrial sector 11%, and service sector 15%. In the same time, 2009 to 2010, agriculture sector 53% and industry sector 22% and service sector 25%. The next one, share of three sectors in GDP. Observe the pie chart and uh, and fill the table. 1970 to 73, agriculture sector gross domestic product 42% and industry sector 22%, service sector 35%. 2009 to 2010 gross domestic product, agriculture sector 17%, industrial sector 26% and service sector 57%. While service sector has grown, all service sectors activities are not growing equally well. Service sector in India employs many different kinds of people. At one end, there are a limited number of services that employ highly skilled and educated workers. At the other end, there are a very large number of workers engaged in services such as small shopkeepers, repair persons, transport persons, etc. These people barely manage to earn a living and yet they perform these services because no alternative opportunities for work are available to them. Hence, only a part of this sector is growing in. The next one, organized and unorganized sector employment in India. Organized and unorganized sectors of employment opportunities. What we have for us, we have seen the different types of sectors and especially coming to the industrial sector and as well as the service sector. We can categorize broadly those two into organized and unorganized sectors. The sector of organized is by word itself. Shall we understand that it is systematically? It has some systems, some rules and regulations to be followed. Every activity should be having registration under the factory or the minimum wages. This act or the shopkeepers act. Everything and it provides a regular basis for the employees for them like regularly paid salaries, fixed tenure of the salaries, they have to get the paid leaves, they have to get some facilities, they have to get the minimum need requirements. They will work for fixed timings. They will have like Sundays is not working day, holidays are not working days, for them, like that there are systematical rules and regulations for them in the organized sector, and will be provided the bonus facilities for festivals should be if a person retires, they should be given the pension plans, should be given some gratuity amount, all these rules and regulations which are established by the government of the particular state or as well as this central government should be followed by the companies of industries which are located another organized sector of groups. Sad things to say is that in India we have only 8% 8% of people coming under this category of the organized sector. Organized sector only 8% of in India. Coming to the other category where the unorganized sector in India, we have nearly 92% of people who are coming under this sector, unorganized sector. They are normal sector. By the name itself we can understand that unorganized, and it is not always systematically as that of the organized sector. Here you don't have everything or facilities what we get for us in the organized sectors. There are no regular rules and regulations, there is no systematic procedure, there is no fixed acts or reservations, or we cannot claim any of our rights or anything. It is through policies, like many of the companies hire many of the employees when they have worked and then they remove them on the contract basis. There is no fixed tenure for them. They may make them to work for 1 month or 2 months or 6 months and later may remove them without any reason. Also, if the project is completed in the unorganized sector, the people are forced to move towards their own self employment, like they start their own shops. We can see many people like hackers and all these people like self management people, marketing guys, and all these people who were once upon a time used to work in some industries, and they will left out because of the policy of unorganized sector. Highly most of the uneducated people are educated people who are not reaching to the expectations of the organized sector, and our organized sector does not provide opportunities for all the people in our nation. As well as known, the Indian population on is very high. The unorganized sector is having a key role in our GDP, and the total GDP, if you take into the conditions, only 8% we get from the organized sector, and 92% we get the total 100% of GDP we get from these two sectors, like organized and the unorganized sector. The unorganized sector has to be systematized so that maximum people will get the security of their jobs and they get the employment opportunities well, and which leads to them for the better and their standard the living to be very high, so that we can say that our GDP also will increase automatically, and our country also can get the better facilities. One human development contest to human should be developed, not the development any other things. Once the human have to be developed, these all things has to be addressed properly. Let us discuss the coming to already we will discuss the issue of better conditions are the other alternatives which are available for them, as we have discussed the already discussed the Gayatri family issue here. Let us see the conditions. What are the required for them? See here, loan can be provided for them to take bore wells or tube wells, the government. Only can tube wells or bore wells give it for them. And if they not, we can provide some credit for them to buy the fertilizers and seeds and to get the best quality of the output that needs to be done in the rural areas, where like Gayatri people there are many lakhs of people who are facing the same kind of issue here. So we can address them by constructing small dams or lakes or having some check dams to save the water and provide the water wherever it is needed later. It leads to the development of the health, fertility of the soil, and once if they provides to loans for them instead of the people of small farmers collect into the money of the money lenders which we provide for them. The fertilizers and seeds some amount of loan from the banks are at very low rate of the interest. Then automatically the people will become confident. They need not down their hand and they can work effectively to get the better outputs. The present generation trend is going on. We needed to train the employees. We need to have generate now new employment opportunities for them. But also we need to train the people to work effectively. Effectively, the latest trend which is going out of the present century. We have employment opportunities, either we have them in other forms or we need to change the form of the that one we need to add technology for our lives. We need to bring the better changes for that, so the conditions of the slogan of this particular part of the lesson in that new employment opportunities are therefore meeting the new employment opportunities need the employees or the workers or the marginal people should be trained to work them effectively to reach the machinery or to satisfy the needs to the present trend. For example, you take the agriculture. For example, you take the agriculture. Nowadays, no one is doing agriculture with the hands or the bullock carts or the buffaloes doing have work and all these things. Nowadays, we have machines doing all the work of sowing, threshing, and as all these things. So the people should know how to manage the technology of using that one. So we need the people to be trained for them for their better opportunities. Thank you.